Our Region's Business is sponsored by PNC for the Achiever in You.
August Wilson was more than a native son of Pittsburgh. He was a true American master, one of the great playwrights of the 20th century. In a new documentary, American Masters, August Wilson, The Ground on Which I Stand, follows his life and career from his childhood in Pittsburgh's Hill District all the way to Broadway. The documentary commemorating the 70th anniversary of Wilson's birth and the 10th anniversary of his death was co-produced by WQED right here in our region. Darryl Ford-Williams is Vice President of Content at WQED, and she's also executive producer of the program. And welcome, good to see you.
Thank you, good to see you, Bill.
Yeah, I would say it's about time somebody did a network documentary on August Wilson. Nobody's ever done this before?
I was really surprised that no one had done it. When I approached PBS and said, this is what I'd like for WQED to do, is anyone on the books in development with this? And they said no. So it was really a surprise, because what a deserving individual.
Well, right. It's such a great American story, from starting here in our region and ultimately being, one of the great playwrights of the, in the last few decades in America. It's pretty remarkable. Challenges in getting something like this off the ground, or what really piques you, other than that kind of thread, what really got you interested in August Wilson? Why did you think this was a story that needs to be told this way?
When you think about the timing, we started this initiative, it was 8 years ago that I first started, and it was at that time, it was just maybe a year or two after his passing, and there was a lot of conversation and excitement about the impending August Wilson Center for African American Culture.
All right, which we just talked about, getting a whole new life now, fortunately, here in Pittsburgh.
Right, exactly.
Right, yeah.
So how fortuitous, because back then I thought, wow, wouldn't it be fabulous if we could have the premiere event for the documentary at the grand opening of the August Wilson Center. So here we are 8 years later, and we are so proud to be able to get ready to present this.
And it's going to be obviously on network television, but maybe you still can premiere it at the new reopening of the August Wilson Center.
That is our intention.
Yeah.
And so it does take a long time to get a project like this started. I mean, there are numerous hurdles to overcome: getting the rights to his work, getting the permission from his estate, figuring out who your production team is going to be, and then the really heavy lifting of identifying the financial support to make it possible.
Pretty amazing. I think we have a little bit of a clip to give people a taste of what it's like, so let's take a look.
If I said the name August Wilson, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
A storyteller.
He was always looking and listening. It was about these otherwise undocumented lives and these otherwise unheard voices.
He finds the poetry in everyday life and sings to it.
Prophet. Truth teller. An amazing visionary.
He was a distiller of the Black experience.
It's a very select group whose work will live forever on the stage, and August is in it.
He wrote the frustration and the glory of being Black. So, and that's the balance of us, the dichotomy.
Pretty cool. As the project unfolded, I assume before you started you thought you knew everything there was to know about August Wilson. What did you discover about him and maybe his life here in our region along the way?
One of the most important things for my discovery process was to hear from people who knew him early on, in early childhood years, first, second grade, to hear people talk about what an early reader he was. While the other kids were still trying to figure out See Dick Run, he had mastered reading whole sentences. And when you think about that kind of natural brightness translating into a kid who never finishes high school, then being able to become such a highly acclaimed playwright and to write and explore complex themes, that takes someone who has some really high-level thinking.
An incredible intellect as well as creativity to pull it off. It also shows the importance of lighting that fire early, because even if you don't get through high school, it still might pay off, over the course of somebody's life.
He was self-taught. He walked into the library after he left school and decided that he would just read and choose his own education.
Well, and that ties into the other aspect of this project, which is really fascinating, and that's the connection to the PNC August Wilson partnership. How does that fit into all of this and what you're going to be doing in parallel to the documentary?
Yeah, so first of all, we could not have done this project without the really strong support of PNC. Not only did they support the documentary, but they also supported the August Wilson Education Project. And if you go to WQED.org, you will find the body of that education work. It's an initiative that will happen here in Pittsburgh and in cities across the country to inspire the teaching of August Wilson's work in formal and informal educational settings. There's an entire teacher's toolkit that breaks down thematically some of August Wilson's work. There is a competition going on right now in Pittsburgh to inspire high school students to write the 11th play. You know, August Wilson wrote a 10-play cycle covering the 10 decades. And so we're inspiring high school students to engage in writing workshops with us and then to enter their play as an 11th play. Imagine what one might write.
That is such a cool idea. But you talk about the 10 decades. I mean, his experience was a classic American experience, and through his plays, you have a window on so many of the dynamics that have unfolded in the United States over the past century.
Yes, and so he addresses that, and you know what's most interesting is that he didn't write them chronologically. He didn't start off in the early 1900s and then sequentially write these plays. He experienced them and brought them to our experience as they evolved. But what's most unique about that is that they take an experience that's rooted right here in Pittsburgh in a really humble but wonderful community in Pittsburgh and made the stories and the human experience stage-worthy. And how many times did we learn that people would go up to August Wilson after watching Fences or Jitney and say, "You told the story of my grandfather from Poland. How did you know?"
It's true. No, I saw Irish stories there. I've heard other people say those are Italian stories. They're really not just Africa. They're just human stories.
They're human stories.
Well, congratulations for getting this done. This is really an achievement. And when does it air?
It airs February 20th, 9 p.m. That's a Friday night. Shortly thereafter, you'll be able to see it online and you'll be able to buy the DVD. But it airs on American Masters, which is one of the most iconic series for PBS. And it really is the collection of the best stories of our American icons. Wow. I'm proud August Wilson is one of them.
Absolutely. Well, he deserves to be there. Darryl Ford-Williams from WQED, and on behalf as well of the PNC August Wilson Partnership. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Bill.
And next up, a little dollars and cents. Stay with us.